So these idiots really believe. No, that's news clip stack, whatever motherfucker song. These people really believe they're ruining. I smoke a joint, they get mad, so they dump on my route or whatever. Ruin the audio for the. Keep it up, Shomo. Ruin the audio for the video that they're watching. That choppy cutting in and out shit. They're staring at this shit obsessively, and they want the audio fucked up. And I'm supposed to feel bad. I smoked a joint. They got mad, and somehow. So what? I don't understand why you think I give a fuck. And of course, at the ends of these, there'll be a thing that flies by that connects you to the uploads list, and that would show you the previous video right before this one. And you'll get the idea of what a stalker is. Yeah, there are thousands of videos. There should only be like a couple hundred. Because these idiots won't fuck off. Is there a reason this keeps happening? Yes, because I'm looking around.
Tell me, have you been a good little... Well, first we'll just have to look up your name in my little black book and make sure. Pretty good. All but one little thing.
What I do? I didn't do nothing.
Well, that's just it. You see, Bobby, I have a book here that today some people asked you what a certain man looked like and you wouldn't tell them. Is that right?
I'm afraid. I don't want to tell. They can't make me.
Well, Bobby, maybe you and I had better talk this over. If you won't do something for us, I'll be
Little Bobby's description of the murderer wasn't the greatest by any means, but it was better than none at all, with which we had been furnished by the personnel in the camera department and the kid's mother. We took the girl to the advertising department, where an artist made a sketch. Armed with a drawing, we made a tour of the store exits, showing it to the police posted on every door, giving them a rough idea what to look for. A medium-build, pudgy man with black hair. And when they came across such a character, he was to be issued an invitation to show his hands. If he was sporting Bobby's teeth marks, then they'd really know. Well, this chore out of the way, Miss Whitehall and I sank our teeth in a pair of sandwiches in the tea room. The Shopper's Delight sandwich, to be exact. Cream cheese, walnuts, watercress, and pineapple on whole wheat bread. We found the store manager, Sandler, back in his office. He, too, was eating, but he was on a diet of straight fingernails.
Oh, terrible, terrible, terrible. That's what it is.
Now, don't worry, Mr. Sandler. He'll be caught. As a swindler, he might have gone on for years. But as a murderer, it won't be long, believe me.
Oh, what to do?
Well, I've got several ideas. And the first is to get out of your office and start at the top of the store and work my way down.
They're already doing that. Another sign of him.
Well, I once found a mouse in a hayloft, so be not discouraged. And a pretty little mouse she was.
Oh, dear. Oh,
please try to relax, Mr. Sandler. Everybody's doing their best.
yes, I'm sure they are. It's just that I... Oh. Hello? Yes, it's Mr. Sandler. Oh, no. Where? How long have you been there? Hello? I'll be right down.
What's the matter now?
About an hour and a half ago, our store Santa Claus stepped out into the employee restroom for a smoke. He was slapped from behind. When he came to, he was all tied up in a broom closet, and somebody has stolen his Santa Claus suit. They just found him.
About an hour and a half ago. Judy, you know what that means?
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. 45 minutes ago, when little Bobby was giving Santa Claus the murderer's description, he was giving it to the murderer himself.
Oh, good gracious.
Instead of a kid's air rifle, it could have gotten us a revolver, size 38.
So where's the kid now? Come on.
In just a moment, we'll return to the second act of Johnny Dollar. But first, CBS is going to bring you one of the biggest presents you ever received from show business tomorrow afternoon, Christmas Day. For a full hour on the entire CBS network, you're going to get all the comedy, all the laughs, and one of the greatest Broadway and Hollywood hits of recent years, The Man Who Came to Dinner. And The Man Who Came will be played by none other than Jack Benny, plus Charles Boyer, Gene Kelly, Dorothy McGuire, Gregory Peck, and Rosalind Russell, plus Henry Fonda and John Garfield as narrators. You'll hear them all on CBS's special holiday hour tomorrow afternoon. Jack Benny, playing the man who came to dinner and breaking a leg, had to stay on and on and on. Now with our star, Charles Russell, we return to the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
There's no place like a crowded department store for a fresh-made murderer to be on the loose, especially one that's playing Santa Claus for a lot of rosy-cheeked little nippers. I headed back to the toy department, but when I got there, the cupboard was bare. Our lethal St. Nick had decided to give up his red flannel and white whisker hiding place. We found the empty suit in a storeroom, tossed high on a stack of baby buggies.
Oh, Johnny, this is terrible. That man's a murderer. What are you going to do?
What am I going to do? Now listen, Judy. By now there must be 87 cops sifting through this store looking for that guy. They've got 2 cops on every door. Now all I'm going to do is help them look. This is one of those everybody's problems.
You're right. I guess I'm just getting excited.
Well, that you have a right to do. Come on, let's get out of here. I've got an idea.
All right, Johnny. Oh, Mr. Dollar, thank goodness I found you. Mrs. Andler wants you right away, down on 3. An old lady has just been shot in Junior Mrs. Lingerie.
Serves her right for not acting her age. Let's go, Judy.
Hold on, Junior Miss? Lingerie. Hold on. Wait, what did you just say?
Right over here, Dollar. Let him through, please. Let him through. Lady, please stand back now. Well, Dollar, congratulations. Before, this store was only going to sue that company of yours for $1 million. Considering what this shooting will do to our reputation, I'm going to make that $5 million.
Mr. Sandler, keep your powder dry. First of all, it's not my company. And second, you can't sue them for something they didn't do. And third, you'd better get this poor old gal to a hospital. How badly is she hurt, and how did it happen?
The doctor's off his way, and we've sent for an ambulance. This woman was lost along a big stairway looking for the ladies' room. That maniac saw her coming toward him and ran down the stairs, firing over his shoulder. The bullet just seemed to graze her left side.
Pretty lucky. Where are the police?
They're searching all over the store. Dollar, what are we going to do? This is terrible for business.
Well, I suspect that any minute now, the cops will be telling you to do something that's going to be even worse for business. Close the store.
Well, but close the store? I was staying open late tonight. It's the last minute rush.
I'm just telling you what I think. I think the cops will double the lookouts on all the doors and make you close the store. Then they can go to work.
We lose thousands of dollars. They can't make me close the store.
If you stay open, you might lose a few more customers. The hard way. Where's that doctor?
He'll be here any minute.
Oh, Mr. Sam.
Yes, what is it?
Well, they called up from the sporting goods in the basement. That man has been down there and held them up. And he took 4 guns and 6 boxes of ammunition.
6 boxes of... Oh, my. Oh, what's this going to do to our store?
If you're not careful, it's going to turn your store into the world's largest shooting gallery with live targets. You know what I suggest, Mr. Sandler?
Oh, what? What? Tell me what?
Don't wait for the police to tell you. Close the store. Sandler didn't like it, and neither did the customers, as they filed out of the store past the scrutiny of the police officers, still clutching their unfinished Christmas shopping lists. The process was slow, and while the customers were leaving, the clerks finished up their business, put the white shrouds over their counters, and they too filed out until the early night. The boys in blue, watching the doors, came up with several men answering the general description of our friend with a loose trigger finger, but none of them had little Bobby's teeth marks on his hands. That made it a 50-50 chance that Mr. Killer was still in the building. There's nothing more eerie than a department store after closing. And its white sheets, the whole joint seemed to be playing ghost. I sent Judy over to a steakhouse, Pietre's, on 3rd Avenue, told her to wait. Then I had Sandler get me a gun from the sporting goods department. For that lonely, scared feeling, there's no medicine that quite takes the place of a piece of cool steel in your little hot hand. The sergeant, in charge of the police detail, posted men outside all exits. The rest he took up to the roof with him. They were going to run the whole store through their burly blue sieve, floor by floor, counter by counter, inch by inch. Sandler stayed with me down the first floor. Just for fun, I thought I would start working my way up.
Donald, don't you think we should get out of here and leave this to the police?
I have several goosebumps that agree with you, Mr. Sandler, but I have a very dangerous habit of trying to earn my money.
Oh, this is terrible.
Well, look, every counter and post in this store is just the kind of hiding place a sniper would pray for. I get paid for this kind of work. You don't. Now, why don't you go out and I say for?
It's my duty to stay here. I'm sticking with you.
Okay. But remember, two of us gave him twice as much to shoot at. I had to go and open my big mouth. Get down. Laying down on that floor could have been committing suicide in itself. The killer's bullet had crashed into a showcase. A sea of broken glass is a risky place to practice diving. Having to swim out of it was twice as bad, but that's what I had to do.
Oh, Mr. Dollar.
Sandler, keep your head down. Bury your face in that glass, but keep your head down.
Yes, Dollar. Tell me what to do, anything but get me out of here. I have a wife and 3 kids.
Well, if you'll do what I tell you to do, your wife will go on having a husband and your kids will still have a father.
Yes, just tell me.
I don't know exactly where that shot came from, but from the looks of this glass, it must have been from behind us. Now, I'm going to leave you and crawl over near those elevators. While I'm on my way, you rattle around this glass. Let them hear where you are. Give me about 2 minutes, and then do something to draw its fire.
What can I do?
Do anything but one thing. Don't stand up.
I'll think of something.
You better. But don't take any chances.
No, but what are you going to do?
Take some chances. Once I was on my way, Sandler went to work with a vengeance. I could hear him thrashing around in that glass like he was trying to corner the Band-Aid market. I made it over to the elevators, scooting flat along the floor till I hit a car with an open door and slithered inside. Behind the protection of the elevator's front wall, I stood up, peered over at the edge of the door, and waited for Sandler to make the move that would draw the murderer's fire. I must say Sandler was dead game. And the way he made it move, he also stood a good chance of becoming plain dead. First, he stopped wiggling around on his bed of glass, and then he just stood straight up. The shot missed, but my eyesight didn't. The killer was shooting from high up, behind a pole. He was standing up on a glass showcase, hoping for a better view. And it didn't take me long to decide to give him a better view of the inside of that glass showcase. I started deliberately shooting his foothold out from under him. He was bleeding beautifully when he started to run, straight for the back of the store, firing as he ran. As one last souvenir, he threw his empty gun over his shoulder at me. People who live in glass houses shouldn't throw guns. I decided to join the track team and went on the chase. Back out of the main floor, through the employees' entrance, out to the dimly lit shipping department, and its loading dock filled with packages ready for shipment. I could hear him moving around among them. Okay, get your hands up and come out. I'm giving you a chance, but it's not going to last long. Get moving.
I don't need your chance. I got something better.
Okay, so you want to
Yeah,
play?
seriously, buddy, sitting
I
down.
think I'll give you a couple of Yuletide presents early, and I'm sure nobody will mind if I open your head before Christmas. My hot-headed friend was hiding behind a high pile of wooden boxes ready for shipping. I grabbed a heavy, empty dolly, gave it a flying start, and sent it crashing into the bottom box of the pile. Beautiful. The biggest crash since '29. It was a tough fight, but Mom, I don't think I won. At best, it was a draw. About the 15th time I belted him, he belted me right back. Boom. Then he got his hands on a hammer. laid it across the side of my head. I got the hammer, did the same for him. I made a hole in one. He fell squarely into a man-sized packing case lying at the foot of the packing bench. I was getting weak, dizzy. I had to hold him. One thing to do. Top a case lying right there. Already nailed part way in. Put it on right over him. Nail it on. Good, tight. Good, tight. Good, tight. Everything was going black. Then everything went white. Hey, corny as this may sound, where am I?
You're in the hospital, Johnny, darling. But don't worry. It's only a slight concussion. They brought you here last night.
Oh, I suppose I have a hammer-shaped hole in my head.
No, darling. It hardly shows.
Oh, how could? The bandages covering it up. Well, at least I got him.
You what, dear?
I got him. The killer.
Oh, no, dear. You couldn't have. They're still looking for him.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. What time is it?
7 in the morning.
I gotta get out of here.
Why? Johnny, please. Johnny, you're not supposed to get up. Oh, nurse!
If they let him get away after all my trouble, somebody was going to need a doctor. Judy and I hit the department store in 12 minutes flat. 1 minute later, I was in the shipping department talking to the head man.
Now, Mr. Dollar, just calm down. Everything's going to be all right. Now, exactly what is it you want to know?
That big packing case, the one that was lying right here in front of the bench last night. Where is it?
Oh, the great big one?
Yes, the great big one.
The one about 8 feet long and 3 feet wide?
Yes, the one about 8 feet long and 3 feet wide.
Well, there was something very peculiar about that case.
You're telling me. Where is it?
Well, this morning we came to work. The boys saw it all packed up, so they put it on the truck for upper New York State.
Oh, no.
Oh, indeed they did. But what was peculiar about it, even though they found it all ready to go, later on they found all the merchandise that was supposed to go in it lying around loose. It had never really been packed.
Well, then quick. The least you can do is tell me where it went.
Well, now that I can do. That box was the boss's big annual charity shipment of goods. That particular box is on its way to some of the unfortunates who will be spending this Christmas away from home.
All right, so where is it?
By now, it should be at the New York State Prison, up in Ossining.
Expense account, item 5, $12.80. Dinner check at Pietro's, where I had asked Miss Judy Whitehall to wait for me the night before, and where I inadvertently stood her up. Although how a gal can stand up after eating $12.80 worth of food, more than I could figure out. Let's see, expense account item 6, $10. Medical supplies for those poor CBS sound men, Vern Surrey and Billy Gould, who had to break all that glass during the show. Expense account total, $511.50. You may think this amount is a little high, but isn't everybody at this time of the year? Signed, yours, truly, Johnny Dollar.
Gray and Bianca Dentino, two intensive care nurses at the start of their careers who suddenly found themselves at the front line of the global pandemic. At the time, Hannah, who's 24, was working in an intensive care unit at a major London hospital. Her unit had rapidly expanded to accommodate extra patients. Bianca, who's 26,
will say you're under arrest for driving under the influence. Buzz driving is still drunk driving. Don't drink and drive. A message from Global News Radio 640 Toronto.
everyday vocabulary, terms like social distancing, super spreader, and flattening the curve. And above all, try come to terms with the tremendous loss of lives. So today I want to go back to Bianca, who's based in the US, and Hannah, who's in the UK, and find out what has been the reality of life on the ward for them since we last spoke. Bianca and Hannah, welcome to you. It's good to speak to you again.
Hi, thank you for having us again.
Yes, thank you so much.
Well, I want to start by finding out, how are you both? Bianca, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Honestly, I feel
12 to 18 hours from here. So by the time Saturday night rolls around, we should have a pretty good understanding, and we might even know, because it might have already happened, this giant rocket debris and where it's going to land. Fingers crossed, of course, that no one gets hurt. We shake our fists to China for thinking about something so reckless and not thinking so far ahead as to consider actual human lives and safety. Craig in the SRA texting in saying probably in the next 6 to 7 orbits, maybe, could be the big impact. It may not be, though. To fail is to succeed. It's such a fine line between stupid and clever. Ain't that the truth? Rob in Parkland, Alberta saying China blew up a satellite which greatly increased the space debris. They clearly don't care. And
What are you?
maybe you're right.
There's like 20.
Maybe you're right. I mean, you heard from Andrew. Maybe it's the fact that they just aren't really considering what it's like for everybody else. James texting in saying they should rename space junk after Elon, pardon me. It's musky out there tonight. Appreciate the feedback coming in at 877-399-9898. For now, let's get into it. Another episode of May the Riffs Be With You.
The second heat.
The Chinese are responsible for all the space junk. That makes a lot of sense.
Probably be an end date, to be honest.
Hannah, how bad did things get for you during that second wave? Is there an experience or something that illustrates, how things were for you?
I mean, the worst day is when you're looking after someone you know's relative the day they die. That it was just, I can't even explain. Nothing will compare to that. And I know for so many across the country in intensive care and on the wards, that was a normal thing to see.
It demands $30,000 for the girl's return. The letter is signed, The Wolf. Your job, get him. Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime, investigated and solved by the men who unrelentingly stand watch on the security of your home, your family, and your life. For the
alarm company,
in cooperation with the Los Angeles
neighborhood dope dealers and gang members,
you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case, transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, October 18th. It was cloudy in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Ed Backstrand, chief of detectives. My name's Frank. I was on the way back from the stats office, and it was 3:26 a.m. when I got to room 42, homicide.
Got those mud gas boys out here. They are.
Thanks, Harris. Backstrand leave you?
In a minute, I'm going out with him.
What's your address out there, the Sullivan Court? 814 Castro Boulevard. You go straight out Santa Monica, take a left at Castro.
I remember.
You ready, Chief?
Yeah. Brandy, you call Romero yet?
Right now.
Get on it. This one we don't fool with.
Yeah.
Come on, Harris.
Hello. Sorry to wake you, Ben. This is Joe. How you feeling?
Oh, all right, Joe. What time is it?
3:30 a.m. How do you feel?
Oh, a lot better. Be back to work tomorrow.
We'll be ready in 20 minutes. I'll pick you up.
20 minutes. Okay, what's up?
You remember Martin Sullivan, vice president of the Third National Bank?
Sullivan? Yeah, what about it?
Got a 22-year-old daughter. Already had one. She's gone.
Good. You made good time, Joe. Yeah. Where are we headed?
Sullivan home out on Castro Boulevard. Ed's out there now with Harris.
Any leads to work on?
No, nothing so far. The girl disappeared a little before 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. At 11 last night, he got a letter. They want $30,000. Sullivan hasn't got that kind of money. Yeah, I know it. Poor guy's almost out of his mind. Fill me in. How did it happen? Well, the guy took the girl out of business school. He had her called out of class. Told her father was sick, said he was a friend of the family. Well, how about the teachers? What was their story? Said the girl didn't want to go with the man at first, but he finally talked her into it. Kept telling her father was dying. That's about as low as it come? Yeah. Did he use a car? Witnesses said it was a blue sedan. They didn't get the license number or the make. Did they remember what the guy looked like? About 5'9", 160, brown suit, dark hair. Nothing else? No. Here's a copy of the letter. The usual. Read it. Yeah. I have your daughter, Judy. Get, what's that? $30,000. $30,000 quick if you want her back alive. Don't call police or I'll kill her. Contact you later. Signed, what was it? The Wolf. Oh, Wolf. Yeah. I could think of a better name. Come on, here we are. It's got the original note, Joe. Lee Jones down at the crime lab. He's checking it for prints and handwriting. Well, if it was... Oh, hi, Dave. Right on the house for us. Just wait for it. Thanks, Dave. Hi, Joe. Ben. In the living room. Thank you. That's the way I see it, Mr. Sullivan. Now, you understand exactly what you have to do? Yes, sir. I'll do as you say. All right. Here are the two men who will help you. Sergeant Friday and Sergeant Romero, homicide. Yes, sir. Now you do. I do. Mr. Backstrand, are you sure about all this? He might get frightened. He might do something to Judy. Believe me, Mr. Sullivan, it's the only way. I know how you must feel, but you can't do anything else. All right, I want to see Mrs. Sullivan first. I'll be ready in a moment. Any developments? Yeah. Come on back in the dining room. There it is on the table. Second note from the guy. Telegram. When this comes? About half an hour ago. Guy phoned it into Western Union from a public booth. Couldn't trace it. I see, Joe. Yeah. Be at Elysian Park, 5 o'clock this morning, near Balkan Drive. Come alone. Bring 30,000. Will return girl. Don't tell cops. Kill her if you do. They will. 4 a.m. now, Skipper. Not much time. I know it. We'll have to do as he says. No other way. And Sullivan's going out there alone? You're going with him. You and Romero. You'll be hidden out in the trunk of the car. Any plan? Get him. That's all. Ben and I went out the back door and into the Sullivan garage. We jammed ourselves into the trunk compartment and Harris closed the door on us. The latch was fixed so that the door could be pushed open from the inside. A few minutes later, Mr. Sullivan came out, got in the car, and we drove off. At 3 minutes to 5, we pulled up at the meeting place in Elysian Park. We waited. Nothing happened. At 5 minutes past 5, it started to thunder. That's all we need now. Thunderstorm. Stuff in this trunk in it. Oh, yeah. Hey, listen. Must be. We seen anything? Sounds like he's pacing up and down alongside the car, doesn't it? Now listen. Can't hear anything else. Can you? No. Better stay undercover. Yeah. Rain starting, man. Wonder what happened to the wolf. Cold feet, maybe. Let's wait it out. Joe. Yeah. What time you got now? More than I need my watch. Yeah. A little past 5:30. Sergeant. Sergeant. Mr. Sullivan? Yes. Do you think he's coming? Please. It's getting daylight. We better wait it out, Mr. Sullivan. Now look, don't come back here again. If he's watching, you might tip him off. Oh, all right. All right. Poor guy. Yeah. I hear it. Coming up the road toward us. Stop it. Yeah. Coming over to our car. You ready? Right. Don't blow us out of it. And coming back here. Now watch it.
Friday, Romero.
That's you, Ed?
Yeah, the meeting's off. Come on out.
All right. Got a cramp in my leg. I'm cramped all over.
Mr. Sullivan, drive back home. We'll contact you there.
All right, Chief.
Ben, Joe, come on over to the car.
What's the story, Ed?
The guy had no intention of following through with this meeting tonight.
Well, how come?
He told us. Phone at 5 o'clock. Tried to trace the call. He wouldn't stay on the line long enough.
What do you have to say?
He wanted more money. Bragged about how smart he was. How we'd never get him.
Well, he knows Sullivan's called in the police.
Sure. Said he didn't care. We'd never get him anyway.
Yeah, pretty cocky.
Pretty smart. Take my word for it. He's no dummy.
Control 1 to 80K. Control 1.
I'll get it. 80K to Control 1. 80K to Control 1. Go ahead.
80K, go to your office. Code 3. Go to your office. Code 3. Get later.
All right, Romero. Let's roll.
More than 12 hours had passed since word of Judy Sullivan's disappearance had been phoned in a homicide. During that time, an all-points bulletin containing the descriptions of the suspect, his car, and the girl had been sent out on the teletype to law enforcement agencies throughout the area. The same descriptions were broadcast over the police radio every hour. The Sullivan home had been placed under strict surveillance, and Mr. Sullivan instructed not to contact the suspect without knowledge of the police. He'd raised almost $10,000 in cash to buy him off. The serial number on each one of the bills had been copied by a police stenographer and then rechecked by a homicide officer. So far, the Wolf, as he called himself, had made 3 separate contacts, but he'd covered his tracks well. We knew that he was somewhere in the city, 500 square miles of it, and we knew we had to find him fast. It was 18 minutes past 6 when we got back to homicide.
Hi, Chief. Fellas, you got something for us, Mike?
Here, this letter, special delivery. Came in about 25 minutes. Can I see that, Mike? Stay away from Sullivan. If the kid's found dead, it's your fault. Stay away, the Wolf.
All right, Mike. Get it over to the crime lab and have Lee check it for prints.
Right, Chief. Will you find any prints on the second note, Mike? 2. Running through R&I now.
Friday, Romero. Get down there and see if they got a make.
Right, Ed. Let's go, Ben.
Who's watching the Sullivan house beside Harry?
Carpenter and Davis. Baxter's afraid the girl's father will try to make a deal with the guy.
Has he tried it yet?
No, he hasn't yet. You couldn't blame him if he did. Word's sick.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi, fellas. Just coming down to see you. You got something there? Those 2 prints Lee Jones lifted off that letter. Got a make on them from the single print file.
Good, Larry. Let's see him.
There it is. Pull the whole package on them. Donald Alfred Kiefer. Looks like a real bad one, doesn't it?
Donald Alfred Kiefer, male, Caucasian, age 29, 5 feet 8 inches, 170 pounds, brown eyes, dark brown hair. He had 1 previous arrest for forgery in Los Angeles 10 months before. Kiefer's occupation at the time of his arrest was listed as bank clerk at the Third National Bank. Ben went back into the files and pulled the crime report. Then we called Ed Baxter in.
There's the answer, Skipper. At the time Kiefer pulled that forgery job at the bank, Mr. Sullivan was one of the vice presidents.
Go on.
Sullivan was the one who preferred charges against Kiefer, and so that he was prosecuted.
Where's this Kiefer now? Let me see. He was placed on probation, and on May 16th this year, he returned to his home in Omaha, Nebraska. That's 1380 Mackinac Avenue.
All right, Romero. Get Omaha on the phone and have them check out Kiefer.
Right, Skipper?
Friday, take Kiefer's package and this note down to Don Myers. Have him check the handwriting. Then get over to the crime lab and see what Jones lifted off that last letter we got.
All right, Ed.
The faster we work, the faster we'll put this guy behind bars. Now move.
How's the writing compare, Don? What'd you find?
Yeah, that's good. See here? Slants as crosses, double oops as L's, open A's, pressure on the downstroke. Donald Kiefer, Wolf, same handwriting.
There's the 3 prints off this last note, Joe. Brought them out with the iodine fume gun. They match with the first.
Thanks, Lee. Did you find anything else?
I don't know if it'll help you much. We examined the paper for watermarks and texture. Both notes are written on the same kind of paper. Impressions show both pieces of paper from the same tablet. Check the density of the carbon and the pencil he used. Both specimens match. Same pencil.
By mid-afternoon, Donald Kiefer's description had been broadcast throughout the area. Bulletins were dispatched to all departments, and an APB was teletyped to the entire state. Men were stationed at every post office in the city to watch for notes that might come through the mail. The bus depots, railroad terminals, the airports, and all the main roads leading out of the city were under strict surveillance. The entire Los Angeles area was broken down into single square-mile districts, and a house-to-house canvass was started. A squad of men were assigned to cover each square mile. Outlying towns and cities were requested to do the same. By 5 o'clock that afternoon, the greatest dragnet operation in the history of the city was underway. We were sure Donald Kiefer was somewhere inside. At 12 minutes past 5, Ben got the call back from the Omaha police.
Yeah, I got it. 6 X-ray 419. Nebraska place, right. Well, thank you a lot. Yeah, bye.
They had a make on the car.
Lots more. The Omaha cops looking for Kiefer, too. Want him for a robbery there 2 months ago.
Yeah?
In that robbery, used a stolen 1939 blue sedan. Nebraska license plate, 6 X-ray 419.
Well, how about his family and his friends back there? They all been checked?
Yeah.
Well, get that car description in communications, huh? APB, teletype, and broadcast. I'll tell Ed.
Yeah, right. Right in, Romero.
Yeah.
What are you tied up with?
We just got a call from Omaha. Make on Kiefer in the car.
Give it to me. You two get up to the Sullivan house fast as you can. See, Harris. What's happened, Skip? Mud Sullivan's disappeared.
All right, Harris. How'd it happen?
About 3 this afternoon, Mr. Sullivan got a phone call. Said he had to go down to the bank. I went with him. He had me wait in the reception room, and he went in his office. After waiting 10 minutes, I got suspicious and went in. He was gone. That's it. Did he get any more money? This morning, $5,000.
Did you get the serial numbers off the bills?
Yeah. Shouldn't let him get out of my sight. Forget it. Right now, we've got to find out where he's gone to meet Kiefer.
Did you talk to Mrs. Sullivan about it, Harris?
She says she doesn't know anything about it.
Let's try her again. Come on, let's go inside.
All right, fellas.
All right. Where's Mrs. Sullivan, Dave?
Back in the sitting room, lying down. Doctor's with her.
Come on. What time you got, Ben?
6:35.
I'll get it. Hello? Where are you? Oh. Where are you now? Where are you now? We'll be right out. That was Martin Sullivan. He met with Kiefer up in Laurel Canyon.
Did he get his daughter back?
Yeah. Wrapped in newspapers. All cars in the area were notified that a contact had been made with Kiefer. We got in the car and drove out to Laurel Canyon. The entire area had been blocked off. We found Martin Sullivan standing in the middle of the road at the end of East Winding Way. 500 feet down the hill was a private residence where Sullivan had telephoned. It was the only building in the immediate vicinity. A few yards beyond the point where East Winding Way ended, back in a clump of tall grass, we found the body of Martin Sullivan's daughter. We notified the crime lab, Chief Backstrand in the coroner. Despite a severe state of emotional shock, Martin Sullivan tried to tell us the story.
He said Judy was all right. I believed him. I wanted her back. Judy. I tricked the officer, the one watching me. Said, come along, no police. Did you see his car, Mr. Sullivan? I wanted her back. I wanted Judy back. I did as she said. I drove here at 6 o'clock and I waited. I put the money on the front seat like he said.
Did he get the money, Mr. Sullivan?
And I got out and left parking lights on. I stood up there by the end of the road and waited.
Mr. Sullivan.
And he drove up. He took his money. Then he came up to me. He had a gun. I wanted Judy back. He had a gun.
Did you see his car?
He said she was up there, beyond the road, to a tree. What her back.
Mr. Sullivan, did you see his car?
I went to look for Judy. He drove away. She wasn't there. By the tree. Couldn't find her.
went into a state of complete collapse, we showed Martin Sullivan a picture of Donald Alfred Kiefer. He definitely identified him. The information was immediately relayed back to Central Division, rebroadcast to the entire police radio system. A teletype was dispatched to sheriff's offices, and communications were sent to police stations throughout the country. The house-to-house search throughout the entire city intensified. The dragnet in which we hoped to trap Donald Kiefer was drawing slowly inward. It was 12 midnight.
Sullivan down murder, we read all about it. Citizens join search for killer.
Friday, did the papers get a list of the numbers on that ransom money? Yeah, got them in the final night edition. 2.5 pages of serial numbers gave it a big spread. Look at these pictures of Kiefer here, all over the front page.
The more the better, Romero. I hope this town never forgets that face. Good reminder. You don't make deals with killers.
Hi, fellas. Come on over.
Find anything yet, Lee?
Just checking over these towels here. Found them wrapped around the girl's body, inside the papers. Funny thing about those papers,
What's that, Lee?
they're all yesterday's. Every story about the girl's disappearance has been clipped out.
Maybe the guy's making up a scrapbook.
How about the towels, Jones? Any laundry marks?
Not a one so far, Ed. Every one of them was clipped off. Pretty smart. The morgue post the body in?
They're doing it now.
Yeah, nasty one.
Yeah. Did you get any footprints or tire marks out where they found the body?
Lots of them, all cast. Bossy and Taylor are checking them now. One, I think.
What is it, Jones?
I don't know. Under the seam here. This towel. Wait a minute. Joe, that pair of snippers there.
Yeah, there you are.
Thanks. That's back under the seam. There. That's one tag he missed.
Any markings, Lee?
Yeah. Greenway Apartments, Los Angeles.
One look at the apartment was enough. In an adjoining garage, we found the car which Kiefer had used, a blue sedan, Nebraska license plate 6X-ray 419. When we got back to the office, Chief Backstrand immediately issued a cancellation of the want order for the blue sedan. And then he ordered a detail of men to stake out the car in the event Kiefer decided to come back for it.
Here's the coroner's report, Joe.
Oh, let's see it. Cause of death, strangulation. Time of death, Monday, October 18th, approximately 2 p.m. 1 hour after we grabbed her? That can't be right. Skipper in his office? No, he's out for a minute.
Hey, Joe, Ben, take the call off 2503, will you?
Thanks, Mike. Right. Would you give me the call on 2503, please? Thanks. Hello? Yeah. Yeah, when? We'll be right over. Some of the ransom money, Ben, just showed up. Beverly and Highland. Come on. The man's name was Ralph Donahue. He operated the used car lot on the corner of Beverly and Highland. He told us that early that morning he sold a dark blue late model coupe to a man who gave his name as Fred Sims. The man paid for the car in cash. Donahue told us that he checked the serial numbers on the bills after the man had driven away. Serial numbers check out, Joe, every one of them.
If I only thought to look, officer, you know, I generally do. I'm the suspicious kind anyway, but, this morning I must have been asleep.
We got the full description on the car, Ben? Yeah, Joe. All right, let's get it on the air right away.
I saw his mug in the paper while I was waiting for you. Too late. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks. At 10 minutes past 3 that afternoon, another piece of the ransom money turned up at a busy downtown department store. The clerk was unable to remember who gave her the bill. The detail throughout the general downtown area was strengthened. The house-to-house search of the entire city for Judy Sullivan's murderer went on. The afternoon dragged into the early evening. At 20 minutes to 7, Ben and I had a hamburger and a cup of coffee in the drugstore at East Broadway and 3rd. And then we got back in the car, checked with communications.
Some coffee, hamburgers, ice cream, and cigarettes.
At 9 minutes to 8, a man answering the description of Donald Kiefer was seen crossing Sunset Boulevard just below Highland. 7 minutes later, the same man was reported near the intersection of Hollywood Boulevard and Las Palmas. Communications relayed the information. At 21 minutes past 8, our car, 80K, along with a dozen others, were concentrated in the Hollywood Boulevard area from Gower Street to La Brea, Franklin Avenue to Santa Monica Boulevard. At 24 minutes past 8, another piece of the ransom money was passed at a cigar store on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Hawthorne Street. The number of men and radio cars in the area was redoubled. Plainclothes officers were stationed at every intersection to keep an eye on pedestrian traffic. At 18 minutes to 9, the dark blue coupe which Kiefer had bought that morning was spotted parked in an alley just below Hollywood Boulevard and Coalinga. We called it Backstrand.
City Hall.
2503.
2503.
Chief of Detectives Office, Hannah.
This is Friday, Mike. Chief there?
Yeah, wait a minute. Just going out the door. That is for you.
Baxman?
Friday, Ed. Just spotted Keeper's car, the one he bought this morning, parked in an alley off Coinga.
Harris and I are on our way up there now. We'll take care of the car. You take care of this call. Just came in.
What do you got?
The theater on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Fairview. The girl in the box office just took in a $10 ransom bill.
Yeah?
She got a good look at the man who passed the bill. She says it's Keeper.
All right, Ben, come on.
Yeah. You got the list of serial numbers?
Right here. Let's check at the window.
Yes, sir. How many, please?
Police officers, Sergeant Romero, Sergeant Friday.
Oh, yes, sir. Mr. Raven, police is here. Would you step around to the side door, Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
Margie, relieve Francis for a minute. Francis, come here. Bring that $10 bill with you.
Sharp girl, officer, that Francis. Sharp.
Here it is, Mr. Raven.
All right, Sergeant. There you are. $10 bill and the list of serial numbers.
Check out all right, Ben?
That's it, Joe. Good work, man.
You reported the man came in about a half hour ago. You're sure it was Kiefer?
Yes, sir. I had his picture in the box office just behind the change machine. I recognized him right away.
And as far as you know, he hasn't left the theater?
That's right, sir.
All right, Mr. Rayburn, I'm sorry. I'm afraid we'll have to interrupt the show.
Anything you say, Sergeant. Anything.
Ben, you keep an eye on the front exit. I'll call communications.
All right, Joe.
80K to Control 4. 80K to Control 4.
80K, go ahead.
Control 4, clear all frequencies.
Lead on a restart plan for the COVID-19 ravaged airline sector. Council President and CEO Mike McNanny says the UK has announced that starting May 17th, it will allow travel to and from a select list of countries. He says travelers from those destinations won't need to quarantine upon entry.
Why not?
And training is being delayed by the COVID crisis, all after the latest BBC News.
Hello, I'm Tom Watts with the BBC News. India has recorded for the first time more than 4,000 deaths in one day from the coronavirus. There are fears that the actual number is much higher and that the current surge of infections may not peak until the end of May. From Delhi, here's Davina Gupta.
Experts are warning of more devastation as the virus spreads to rural regions which lack public healthcare facilities. India's top court has ordered the government to address shortages of oxygen at hospitals in Delhi, demanding that the city is supplied with 700 metric tons every day. Currently, hospitals here claim they don't even get half of this amount. The Supreme Court has also set up an expert panel to assess the need for oxygen supplies in every state. The US Vice President Kamala Harris has pledged further support for India, saying the loss of lives here is nothing short of heartbreaking.
European Union leaders meeting in Portugal are due to hold a video call later with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the second day of their summit. He's been urging Western countries to waive patents for COVID vaccines to boost immunization rates. Nick Beak is in Brussels.
Germany's Angela Merkel represents the toughest opposition to the proposal, believing sharing the formula of vaccines will do little to boost production for the countries most in need. Italy is keen on the idea, and France's President Macron has indicated he's open to it, so long as manufacturing expertise is also shared, and the likes of the Americans and British start to export more of the millions of doses they're producing.
Pakistan has introduced coronavirus restrictions on travel and tourism ahead of next week's festivities marking the end of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Non-essential businesses, including hotels and restaurants, must remain closed, and travel to areas normally popular during Eid al-Fitr has been banned. Mosques will remain open. A BBC correspondent in Islamabad says officials are concerned by the surge in infections and deaths in neighbouring India and want to ensure that Pakistan's underfunded healthcare system is not overwhelmed. Demonstrators in Mexico City have held a vigil and a march at the site of last Monday's collapse of a subway overpass in which 26 people died. Protesters are furious that warnings from engineers, drivers and local residents about the poor construction of the metro line may have been ignored. Our correspondent Will Grant reports from the Mexican capital.
The mayor of Mexico City, Claudia Sheinbaum, has promised what she called a root cause investigation to be carried out by the Norwegian firm DNV. The overpass collapse was the worst tragedy on Mexico City's metro for 35 years. The former mayor, Marcelo Ebrard, who is now Mexico's foreign minister, was a particularly vocal supporter of the new line during his time in office. He has said he will cooperate with the investigation into the cause of the collapse.
World News from the BBC. Defense officials in Afghanistan say the security forces have launched a counter-offensive in the northern province of Baghlan as they move to take back positions seized by the Taliban. There's been heavy fighting in several districts in the last 3 days and conflicting reports of the number of casualties. US forces in Iraq say there's been a drone attack on a base hosting American troops in Anbar province. No injuries were reported. It's the fourth drone or rocket attack on bases housing US personnel in Iraq over the past few days. The Palestinian group Hamas has warned Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu not to play with fire after nearly 200 Palestinians were injured in clashes with Israeli police on Friday. The head of the Hamas Politburo said Palestinians would relentlessly defend the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood in occupied East Jerusalem, where Israeli settlers claim land. School and university students in Australia have taken part in protests in Sydney against what they say is a culture of rape ingrained in Australian society. The event follows recent allegations of sexual misconduct in Parliament. Phil Mercer reports.
Protesters have accused the Australian government of ignoring an epidemic of sexual violence. Demonstrators in Sydney, led by a group of teenage high school students, have called for sexist politicians to be expelled from Parliament. A nationwide campaign against misogyny and sexism was ignited by claims that a female staff member was raped by a colleague in a ministerial office in Canberra. The Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, said he was shocked and appalled by the allegations.
The British rail companies LNER and Great Western have suspended their entire mainline services between London and Edinburgh and London and the West to inspect their trains. Hairline cracks have been discovered in brackets holding the suspension.
What?
Hello, I'm Nuala McGovern on the BBC World Service, and this is BBC OS, Conversations on Coronavirus, Pilots and Trainee Doctors. We return to the terrible situation in India.
Perhaps.
Did you get acquainted with that green horn I pointed out to you last night, Mr. Watson?
Yeah.
Departments, and because of COVID, we missed out on all of those opportunities. I don't know how we'll make up for that.
Though, about the global economy, there have been so many job losses during the past year, particularly affected as countries either closed their borders or restricted entry. A recent survey suggested that more than half the world's pilots are no longer flying. After all, there were not many holiday destinations to fly to as the world battled against the coronavirus, and many workers stayed at home. Even now, that battle to control the virus continues, though thankfully this time through vaccinations. So what happens when you lose your job as a pilot, and what do you turn to next in terms of a career? We brought two pilots together to find out. They are Captain Steve Zago in Canada and Lauren Wilson here in the UK to tell us how their lives have been affected.
I was flying Dash 8 regional turboprop aircraft for a company called Flybe in the UK, and yeah, loved it. I was based up in the north of Scotland, moving business people mostly around the UK. You know, it was a cool job. We got to see amazing things, meet great people.
But your trains are about to explode.
Kind of hit, and the company went under completely.
Hairline cracks.
I'll even just like pronounce the Jamal Malay on purpose. A delicious tea, if you're talking tea. You know, nice and easy. You know, if you don't want to be up all night, like chamomile's good.
I don't mean to hate on somebody's experience.
You know, it's a wonderful tea. But chamomile.
I don't mean to hate on somebody's experience in life, but I hate the fact that we have so much airplane service you can't get on a bus or a train anywhere. You know, fly a jet plane. Why? They're not sound businesses.
A lot of international travel. So I was an Airbus A330, A321 captain. Over the course of March, I started a 6-day pairing, which is basically 6 days where we paired up with another crew member. And over the course of 6 days, we went from flying full airplanes down to Cuba and Jamaica to flying mostly empty airplanes, repatriating Canadians and bringing them home. April 1st, our airline just basically said, okay, set the parking brake and we're done. And we all got layoff notices, and it's been now over a year.
How was that?
It's tough. There's a mourning period for sure.
It's not a sustainable business. What did you think would happen?
And I've been doing this for 23 years. And,
no
you know,
money.
it's what I do. It's what I am. It's definitely part of your identity as a pilot. You know, I was top of my game. I was, you know, a wide body captain. I was a training captain. I was making all the right moves and doing the right things and you know, reaping the benefits of it. And then it just stopped. So yeah, it was
This
definitely a
voice
shock to
sounds
the
so
system.
familiar.
So let's talk about this, Steve. The period of mourning, huge loss, particularly as you talk to us about it being part of your identity. How long do you think that lasted? Or maybe you're still in it, I don't know.
I think I'm still in it for sure. I still talk to a lot of guys and girls who I flew with, and you know, they're still dealing with it. And I think it. I'm probably just masking it with just working on other things, other projects. I have a hard time thinking about it. I was looking through my photo reel on my phone. I had a really nice photo of my mother and I when I took her flying 2 years ago. And there's a picture of her and I, and we're in the flight deck, big smiles on our faces. And I just saw the, you know, the controls and the flight instrument screens and the switches, and it just kind of triggered something in me. And I just had that moment of momentary sadness, just kind of looking at it, and I missed that. So yeah, I'm hoping to get back soon, but who knows?
I'm also an air show pilot, so I've done what the public sort of view as stunt flying and aerobatic flying at shows, and I've done an awful lot of work as a woman, very much a minority in that industry, going to schools and chatting to kids, and that's all been great. But COVID put a stop to all of that. And I have to say, listening to Steve talk about that loss of identity, everything that he just said, it was like he was reading my mind. It was the exact same feelings. We do these jobs because we love them. And to have that taken away from you with no real hope or kind of time scale for any improvement, it's just been like this massive sense of loss that you can't kind of get past it. Steve, what have you found has been like your coping mechanism?
One thing I'd always wanted to do was own my own business, and I never really explored that as an option because even as a pilot, you
do like balloon and start flying your own plane.
It's hard thing to kind of pursue. And a good friend of mine who's also a pilot for the same airline, him and I had a brainstorming session about 2 months into the whole pandemic, and we came up with the concept of starting our own business. And we actually we started a coffee roasting business here in our hometown. Coffee's much like airplanes. I mean, there's no end to the depth of the level of nerding out, I call it, you can do with regards to aircraft. And one thing we found is that coffee is the same way. There's no end to it. So we started a very heavily aviation-themed coffee company. You know, we got airplanes all over our stuff. And it's been kind of almost like a rallying point for a lot of the people in the Canadian aviation industry and abroad. We've had sales all over the world for people to kind of get together and drink a good cup of coffee and talk about airplanes. So that's been kind of a good distraction. It's something we can focus on and trying to turn what is a pretty heavy negative, the loss of a career, into a positive, and trying to, you know, just do something with the time we're given and hopefully turn it into a blessing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. How about you?
Couple of things really, and I kind of got a bit fixated on cycling and getting fit again as a means of physical rehab, but on the other hand, I found myself kind of sitting around like 9 months on feeling sorry for myself and thinking, well, what do I want to do? I've been doing bits and pieces of jobs and working with different companies at home and bits of engineering that I used to do, and it's just like all been very itty bitty pieces. And I sat there and I thought, well, I've got the time and I have got the money in the bank at the moment. I'm going to go and learn to be a flying instructor. So I went off and did all that. So now I'm spending a couple of days a week teaching the next generation like how to fly and trying to get more people into flying. And I'm finding that for me, it's keeping me in the air.
Better at it using a computer to do it
that kind of new challenge that is what I needed to kind of snap out of this kind of funk that I was stuck in.
I'm trying so hard, but this is dumb. They don't need more flight instructors. Ooh, that's like blood red. I don't know, they called it rock star or something last time I asked the name. It's very red. I wonder if I could. I bet I can't. I bet I cannot like that. Those darks. Oh, yeah, them dark spots are red. Burgundy. Oh, fuck. There we go. Lead weights. Bunch of lead weights.
Kicking to the source, flipping Zeno and Eminem. Drinking new niggas but paying them, so they defending them. I hate these dick riders, us are Swiss shiders. Trying to keep this fire contained like pink lighters. My nigga in and out of Miami, that's Swiss priors. What the fuck's why I've been rapping for Rough Riders? I need my credit now, 50 bands for the fire. I watched my lawyer in court, said you're hired. I heard the Thuggy Demon tape, I was inspired. What up, love? She won the illness like Giallo. Through the city where the dark clouds follow. Jets to Vegas, my girl stretching naked. This world crazy, to survive you need mental patience. Some never make it. Cause weather changes, control climates with a cold flow demonstrated. Ride no waves, choose to stay true. Salute the DJ when my music's played. Shallow graves, we cruising late. Watch do shit pay. Smoke a blood when my suit gets made. Top dollar when you play the best. I've been sinning more, praying less. Blindfolded while I'm playing chess, placing bets. Prepared when I take the test. I'm the reason you can lay the rest. Yo, I cook so much that I can feed the masses. Write the gospel, speak the passage. See the madness. Sam Rothstein flicking out casino ashes. I coach the squad like Cito Gas.
Right, Roberto Alomar, right. I could have swore I had an extra pack of matches, but I can't find it. So for the moment, I am out of matches. Ow. I cannot believe how much my feet hurt. Oh.
Double G, TBA, LOW, RYJ, hey. And we don't play, motherfucker. It's like, I mean, that's it.
So Chomo's been dumping for like 10 fucking minutes. If I yell quick, is it gonna keep changing?
I bet I make niggas run for my nigga, 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 run. I bet I make these niggas.
So Chomo's been dumping for like 10 fucking minutes straight. It's the same fucking idiots over and over. It's the same fucking idiots over and over. It's bad day to bad day to bad day. I know you can see me jerking around like a fucking stick figure claymation puppet or something. It's fucking hilarious. You see, you might notice I'm reaching for something and then 30 seconds or so go by, then the song changes and all that shit. Run from. Yeah, this is fucking hilarious. These idiots are obsessed with watching. Don't care why. That's your fucking issue. With or without the video website here. Follow me around in person and shit. And you want the audio to sound all fucked up and cut out and shit. You make no sense. It's a fucking waste, man. Pedophile type motherfuckers.
Run for my nigga, just a flash off the blue steel. Cap hill, he looked at his man, and his fam killed. It's real. Out here, shit hits the fan hard. I open niggas doors to their crib like the landlord. This shit wasn't planned, God. Niggas tried to humble me. I told this bitch to leave my house when she was trying to comfort me. This bitch thought I dissed her, so she told her bro to run for me. Came on a fight thing, but I wasn't. I made him run for me. Yeah, I got my gun out. Told this nigga turn around. You have 5 seconds to run, or you gon' bang the ground. Took off, fell face first when he heard the sound. I ain't even hit this nigga.
I think the time is out. Nigga went in shock, and I never seen his face again. I did it by myself, I wasn't trying to catch a case again. Next day, he called my phone, outside my team. He told him, call me my Mac. It's gonna be a shot.
Run for my nigga, 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 run for my niggas, run for my nigga, 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 run.
Oh, by the way, this will trigger him to get angry, and then, I don't know, I'm supposed to care. He's angry that I'm smoking weed.
Gotta go to low. What you really know, I got all the snow. Come right out the boat, come right out the boat. Come right out the boat, come right out the boat. This year you already know. I feel like I've been the GOAT. I know I can hold my own. I know I can hold my own. All I know that crime pay. I'ma get it one day. I'm cruising down the highway.
Rocking kicks, I copped a byway.
All I know that crime pay. Get them money 5 ways. I'm cruising down.
Some round table shit, dog. What up, God? Peace. Yeah.
Something like Michael Corley in the future. In the morning, fiends holler for that work like a rooster. They screaming, I tell them that the shop's open. Boom with a pit by the door because the lock's broken. Don't get your hand big off from bottom high smoking. Listen to a killer when he tell you that he's not joking. Them rocks potent, got these fiends stiff. Fish got that mean whip. Run it all on Queen like Supreme Griff. For that triple beam dream, you know machines drip. In a stick up, get that clean grip. The magazines click. Got 5 steamed fish with a rice and peas. A couple righteous thieves cypher while I like the trees. Them trifling bees stinging niggas with their quad step. Try stinging me, I'm burning down the whole wasp nest. This grand pro, I came to pay the rent. So it's hard out here for a pimp. Bitch, to live and die, and you know I swear to blowing on my bloodstream. Tifflin to Kennedy, shout out to all my sub teams. Squeeze the torch, being called, we the North Quarter. Toronto Raptors pressure niggas like the 4th quarter. Long and short orders, holler, we can get you that. These puddles deep in money, watch when you step through that. Niggas in them full black suits, feel like the men in black. You trying to take in niggas, I wouldn't question that. We marksmen, head to the field. That's just a test of strapper. Leaving off the war, youngest one raw, but left them back.
Try to rob me for my race, but I know my race. I know my
Roll and pressing. A retard. A dumbass. Jesus Christ. What control do you think I'm pressing that you're interfering with? Yeah, up and down. We know. You're all about up and down. We know. So this here, see, stupid? 3 fucking minutes ago, I was trying to point out that what you're not catching is we can see every time you start this shit. Every time you start this up and down, reason up the timestamp, and I start going back, frame by frame back, and then my eyes get edited. I'll be looking at the screen talking, and my eyes clamp shut while I'm still like, it's fucking ridiculously pathetic. So how come the audio didn't cut out, shithead? You fucking method. You think we don't run things? The cheapest methamphetamine and cleanest. The most fucked up these people are gonna get for their dollar. We're gonna get every fucking dollar out of them. You're a bunch of fucking pussies. Bunch of fucking child molesters thinking you get away with something. I don't get the money out of that directly, though. I don't give a fuck to fuck you up. I think it's funny to watch that from this shit. What exactly are you doing pinging my router then, dickhead? You are fucking stupid. And the fucking song's about the people that fucking you think are your friends. Remember freaking out all over the neighborhood when they cut off the 222 tips money? You're too stupid to watch the news and find out people are snitching on you for snitching or whatever. I don't know how that works. But moron get his IP banned.
The whole neighborhood screaming out dirty cops, cause they up to no good, fucking dirty cops.
What did I literally just say before lighting it? Me lighting the joint pisses this guy off so fucking much. I'm supposed to care that he's mad that I'm high. That makes a lot of sense. And again, the only way it works out is because he's...
Wanna slam me on the hood, dirty cops, try to rob me for my rights, but I know my rights, I know. The whole neighborhood.
By the way, if you cruise around the internet and every time somebody uses the word pedophile, you freak the fuck out about how they're talking about you, you're a pedophile, dumbass.
Screaming out dirty cops, cause they up to no good, fucking dirty cops. Wanna slam me on the hood, dirty cops, try to rob me for my rights, but I know my rights, I know. I'm on the block with a couple racks on me. Dirty cop trying to put a couple packs on me. Use this nice stick to fucking beat the black off me. Then I ran, fucked the maidens for this black coffee. Better back the fuck off me. I know my rights. Said the kid had a gun, nigga, know that sight. Trying to throw me on the ground on a cold ass night.
And you took that shit, you didn't let it light?
They only make like 23 an hour at the Chinese spot. Always eating sweet and sour. It's where you find the cops. And I'm a soup. Late night trying to find a prostitute. The whole neighborhood screaming out dirty cops. Cause they up to no good. Fucking dirty cops. Wanna slam me on the hood. Dirty cops. Try to rob me for my rights. But I know my rights. I know my rights. I know. Dirty cops is good if you pay them more. Cause they could kill a nigga and they won't even let him off. Trying to plant drugs so they can send away a ball. Keep the money coming in, it's like spraying it off. Cause you see, police won't bug a nigga. Won't fuck with me, but put the drugs on another nigga. But miss a payment and find your ass up the river. I keep my dirty cops paid off like without my nigga. If it's their word against yours, it's get it. Now you got a felony in a court case schedule. Get a good lawyer, my niggas, what you better do. Should've paid the dirty cop. Now you
man, I'm dead in you.
The whole neighborhood screaming out dirty cops. Cause they up to no good, fucking dirty cops. Wanna slam me on the hood, dirty cops. Try to rob me for my rights, but I know my rights, I know. You dirty cops on the block watching with binoculars. Wanna talk to us, so Biggie, we ain't trying to talk to you. It's obvious you weary, got the logo on my shirt. Acting like you tough cause you know you're a homo and it hurts. See you dropping drugs at work so you can slang them on the side. Pull me over with no warrant to investigate my ride. But I know my fucking rights, so I ain't letting you inside. Every time you write a statement, yo, I'm betting that you lie. You the only motherfucker that you serve and protect. Walking with your chest out like you deserve the respect. All the laws that you push, you got the nerve to forget. Try to arrest me for the first, cause every word is a threat. The whole neighborhood screaming out dirty cops. Cause they up to no good, fucking dirty cops. Wanna slam me on the hood, dirty cops. Try to rob me for my rights, but I know my rights, I know. I know my rights, I know. I know my rights, I know. Yes.
The Black Gang's divided into two warring no Crips over here, you know?
Black street gangs identify themselves by the colors they wear. The pirates wear red, the Crips wear blue. Blue jackets, blue trousers, blue laces in their shoes.
Go back there and around the banana, nigga, that's Crip shit. Shoes with blue string, nigga, that's Crip shit. Flag with a blue bit, nigga, that's Crip shit. White cousin low, nigga, that's Crip shit. And around the banana, nigga, that's Crip shit. Shoes with blue string, blue bit.
You're all gonna die. You're all fucking dying.
I wouldn't go to Syria. I wouldn't go to Iraq. I wouldn't go to Afghanistan. I wouldn't go to Yemen. I wouldn't go to Tunisia. I wouldn't go to Lebanon. I wouldn't go to Jordan. I would do it right here. Nobody from ISIS ever terrorized us. That's what the police do daily.
Yo, the world's in a crisis. ISIS, shit as cold as ISIS. What the fuck crisis? Political.
Daesh. Mix up. Damn it.
Yo, pay attention and listen real closely how I break the slang shit down. Check it, my weed smoke is my lot, a key of coke is a pie. When I'm lifted, I'm high. With new clothes on, I'm fly. Cars is whips and sneakers is kicks. Money is chips, movies is flips. Also cribs is homes, jacks is payphones. Cocaine is nose candy, cigarettes is bones. A radio is a box, a razor blade is an ox. Fat diamonds is rocks and jakes is cops. And if you got robbed, you got stuffed, you got shot, you got bucked. And if you got double crossed, you got fucked. Your bankroll is your poke, a chokehold is a guilt, a kite is a note, a con is an okie doke. And if you got punched, that means you got snuffed. So clean is to buff, a bull scare is a strong bluff. I know you like I talk with slang, and I'ma never stop speaking it.
Speak with criminal slang.
That's just the way that I talk, yo.
Vocabulary spills, I'm ill. Speak with criminal slang.
That's just the way that I talk, yo.
Vocabulary spills, I'm ill.
Yo, a burglary is a joke, a wolf's a crook. More deep already explained the meaning of shook. If you caught a felony, you caught an F. If you got killed, you got left. And if you got the dragon, you got bad breath. If you 730, that means you crazy. Hit me or to hit me, stage me. Ain't you just a sherm? If you got AIDS, you got the germ. If a chick gave you a disease, then you got burned. Max mean to relax. Guns and pistols is gas. Condoms is hats. Critters is cracks. The food you eat is your grub. A victim's a mark. A sweat box is a small club. Your tick is your heart. Your apartment is your pad. Your old man is your dad. The studio is the lab, and heated is mad. I know you like the way I'm freaking it. I talk with slang, and I'ma never stop speaking it.
Speak with criminal slang.
That's just the way that I talk, yo.
Vocabulary spills, I'm ill. Speak with criminal slang.
That's just the way that I talk, yo.
Vocabulary spills, I'm ill.
The iron horse is the training. Champagne is bubbly. A deuce is a honey that's ugly. If your girl is fine, she's a dime. A suit is a fine. Jewelry is shine. If you in love, that means you blind. Genuine is real. A face card is $100 bill. A very hard loan stare is a grill. If you speaking to go see a girl, that means you creeping. Smiling is cheesing. Bleeding is leaking. Begging is bumming. If you nothing, you coming. Taking orders is sunning. An ounce of coke is an onion. A hotel's a telly. A cell phone's a celly. Jealous is jelly. Your food box is your belly. So gorilla meaning use physical force. You took an L, you took a loss. To show off mean floss. I know you like the way I'm freaking it. I talk with slang and I'ma never stop speaking it.
Speak with criminal slang.
That's just the way that I talk, yo.
Vocabulary spills, I'm ill. Speak with criminal slang.
That's just the way that I talk, yo.
Stay informed, stay safe, and stay tuned to Chin Radio AM 1540.
Flamboyant for life.
It can't have been easy to set up a bureau in Pyongyang.
Wasn't easy. It took years of strategic negotiations. I mean, I had to convince them to let a journalist from the enemy U.S. set up shop in Pyongyang. But, you know, I don't look like the caricatures they grew up with. These tall, spindly soldiers with straw-colored hair. And so just to tell you what I look like, I'm a second-generation Korean American, was born and raised in the Midwest. So I look familiar to them, but I am definitely distinctly different. And as one of the North Korean negotiators said, I'm definitely not a spy for South Korea because my Korean is just not good enough. I laughed at his joke. It was nervous laughter because there's always a tinge of a threat in their jokes. So I was very aware every single second of every single day that I was in North Korea that I could be accused of espionage. And, you know, it's not just my own paranoia. That's exactly what happened to a pair of American journalists in 2009.
We fear that at any moment we could be sent to a hard labor camp.
That's Laura Lay. She and Eunice spent months in captivity and eventually were sentenced to 12 years of hard labor. But in the end, help came from high up.
We were taken to a location, and when we walked in through the doors, we saw standing before us President Bill Clinton.
It's been years, but hearing that audio still gives me the chills. I still feel Laura's terror in my bones. The North Koreans used these two journalists as bait to get a former American president, Bill Clinton, to meet with their leader. You know, my job as a journalist was try to get on the ground in North Korea, but I knew I was always at risk of becoming the next American in North Korean custody if they had a pretext or a need to take an American hostage, which a movie like The Interview could have been. So I was not happy when I heard about this Seth Rogen film in 2013. It's so dangerous to underestimate North Korea and its capacity for retaliation. And the North Koreans will use any slight or threat as a pretext for provocation.
Sure enough, in June 2014, the North Korean ambassador to the United Nations sends a letter to the UN, and it pulls no punches whatsoever.
To allow the production and distribution of such a film on the assassination of an incumbent head of a sovereign state should be regarded as the most undisguised sponsoring of terrorism, as well as an act of war. The United States authorities should take immediate and appropriate actions to ban the production and distribution of the aforementioned film. Otherwise, it'll be fully responsible for encouraging and sponsoring terrorism.
To which the film's writer and star Seth Rogen replies in a tweet, "People don't usually want to kill me for one of my movies until after they've paid $12 for it." And on the subject of Twitter and Seth Rogen, he and I actually had a back and forth on Twitter. We were trying to work out whether there were any other fictional films where a real world leader gets assassinated or murdered. And I think we worked out the only other ones were the Hot Shots franchise starring Charlie Sheen, where Saddam Hussein gets killed in both films. But it has to be said, The Interview is one of a very, very small number of films where a sitting real world leader gets killed in a fictional film.
It's hilarious that you had this exchange with Seth Rogen himself, but I wish he had done that homework before making this movie, because I can't help but wish they had done what movies do for every other country.
They're allowed to kill us.
Create
We're not
a
allowed
fake
to
country
think
that
of
looks
doing
and
anything
sounds
back to
a
that.
lot like a country like North Korea, with a leader who looks and sounds a lot like Kim Jong-un. Instead, what they've done is provide the North Koreans with an opportunity for retaliation.
Skip a few weeks forward, and in Los Angeles, the day after Sony Pictures Entertainment was attacked,
it was a couple days before Thanksgiving of 2014. I just remember thinking, wow, this is terrible. This has never happened before. This must be terrifying for the employees, and the employees I talked to, it was terrifying.
This is Tatiana Siegel. She's executive film editor at The Hollywood Reporter, and that's a publication that covers the latest twists and turns in the film and TV industry. Tatiana has covered all the big stories, and she's interviewed many of the stars. But this was something else.
What part of Hollywood Reporter
As
isn't
the
about
story
film?
broke, she was away from the office for the holidays. Her vacation, though, was quickly put on hold. She remembers her desk piling up with newspaper clippings about the hack as she tried to pull it all together.
It's one of those stories that I will never forget covering. It was really intense, and it was really surreal.
Sony's a high-tech media company, and the fallout from the hack is severe. It even hits their local coffee shop.
There was chaos. The phones didn't work. There was even a coffee bean on the lot. They still couldn't take credit cards 6 weeks after the hack.
it doesn't stop there. As they said they would, the hackers started leaking the sensitive information that they had stolen from Sony.
And they're not just dumping the data online. Remarkably, they set about emailing reporters directly and urging them to write stories about the leaks, including people like Tatiana.
The first time they contacted me and said that they had this information that I might find interesting, you had to click on a link to get the hacked information. So I forwarded it to my IT department and just said, I'm not clicking on this link without you telling me it's safe first.
I'm assuming there is a safe way to do it because they did. And when she eventually downloads the information,
it was kind of a holy cow moment. This is what they've stolen, followed by like 8 more days of that where it got more and more
And these idiots
dramatic
my
what
router
was being revealed.
internal emails reportedly hacked and leaked claim to show a top producer criticizing Angelina Jolie's talent and ego,
bad-mouthing A-list actors like Tom Cruise, who they say can be difficult and demanding.
exposing everything from celebrity aliases to employee social security numbers, bashing Adam Sandler's movies, and
James Bond is now among the victims of the massive cyber
this
attack.
after hackers already leaked copies of films like Annie and Brad Pitt's Fury.
Meanwhile, the studio's co-chairman and a powerful Hollywood producer are apologizing for their stolen emails. The two used racial jokes to mock President Obama.
So it was emails, but it was also huge data dumps of studio information, how much they were paying actors and actresses, how much they were paying their executives, things that were just very damaging to have out there in the ether.
There is this sense that North Korea then, if they were behind the emails that were being sent to you and other journalists, you've ended up inadvertently potentially covering stuff that North Korea wanted you to cover. What do you sort of make of that argument?
Yeah, it's a very weird position to be in when you're covering hackers, that you're doing the bidding of a criminal enterprise. You're corresponding with somebody who is doing something hugely destructive in the industry you work. It's uncomfortable.
However she felt about it, Tatiana's publication did go through the hacked data and did run stories on the dirt leaking out of Sony. And a lot of other outlets did too.
Yeah, I felt so bad for all these very famous and powerful people are impacted by that. The executives that had supported this all the way through at Sony were under huge fire, and it started to become a pretty heavy burden.
That's Dan Sterling. He's the screenwriter of the film The Interview.
And so, at a certain point, I think the feeling of guilt and responsibility started to overtake the feeling of excitement and sort of wonder at having your first movie be so talked about.
By this stage, the hacking is being covered by the global media. Journalists covering the story began linking the hack to the release of the interview with its controversial depiction of Kim Jong-un's death.
But despite the embarrassing leaks, despite the terrible damage to its IT systems, Sony's defiant. They decide to push on with the movie. And so they go ahead with the premiere. But by now the concerns about security aren't just digital, they're physical as well.
Thursday night's premiere of The Interview was heavy on security and light on star power. Actor Seth Rogen slipped by almost undetected. So as screenwriter Dan Sterling recalls, it wasn't exactly a buzzing, glamorous showbiz evening.
The premiere was a rather depressing event. Some of my friends texted me on the way over to the premiere saying that their publicists had told them not to come to the premiere because it was likely to get blown up. One of these high-level executives from Sony, when I saw that person at the premiere in their seat, they were weeping, and which is sort of a bummer.
The security worries are now so high that some of the film stars got given bodyguards for their houses, for themselves, their spouses. Dan hadn't, and he started to get a bit worried.
I called my lawyer. He hooked me up with this Israeli security agent. And I'm not going to imitate an Israeli accent, but he said basically, don't worry, you're the writer. Nobody cares about the writer. You're not important. You don't matter. You're fine. You don't need any security. And I said, well, what about just cybersecurity in case they kind of want to attack my bank account? And he said, trust me, no one cares about you.
But meanwhile, test audiences were liking the interview, and in spite of everything, some began to wonder if Sony might have a hit on its hands.
We had reports of testing results, and the scores were higher than 22 Jump Street, which was a $200 million